10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, and I can't believe I got my camera almost in the right spot. Well, pretty much. It looks fine to me. When my whole contraption that has my camera and all the switching software and everything like that for the show. I don't know, just something happened today where it was a hardware thing. It was the stand. The stand just decided to act as if it was the bolts were stripped or something, and it just kind of fell back. Anyways, so getting it all up and running again, it was just quickly done, and here we go. It's the miracle that is Sudbury News Talk in the morning on the morning shift on CKLU 96.7 FM is here today, as usual, because no matter what happens, we usually find a way to get it done. We're also streaming live at cklu.ca on the internet. Just click on the Radio Player Canada app on the website. There's also other apps you can use, radio apps to stream us auditorily online. We're also streaming live on facebook.com/Sudbury News everywhere in the entire globe other than Sudbury and Canada, because our federal government has policies that prohibit news from being posted or shared on the world's largest social media platform, which is Facebook, and also Instagram, owned by the company Meta. They have their reasons for doing it. We don't really know what they are. We can only guess their reasons. But it looks like either it's incompetency or it's on purpose. Either way, it disallows the sharing of news from the platform that most people use. And so that was the way that most people were getting their information from. And now that's changing, and nothing's really taken its place since. And whether that was on purpose, mainstream media benefits because people have to turn more to their sources. Let's say it's a little less easy to get other sources, or people sharing mainstream news and giving their views on it, which is, I think, what they don't really like, is because people will call out their BS oftentimes, all the time, and then they shut off their comments. So that's what was happening just before Facebook became prohibited in Canada to share news. News like CBC on Facebook just eliminated the ability to comment on any of their stories. All right, so that should tell you something. And now they've just given another $100 million of government money to the media to prop them up. And prop them up is the right word, because they're Weekend at Bernie's. Basically, if you've seen that movie, people who actually know what's going on in the news know that it's just gibberish and it's garbage what's on mainstream media. It just is what it is. And if you don't know that yet, well, then just pay attention to the show. Tune in for a couple episodes. It's all you'll need. And we'll give you the tools you need to look into what you need to know what's really going on in the world and think for yourself and not just be spoon-fed government propaganda. Okay, having said that, we're also live on youtube.com/Sudbury News. And immediately following the show, it'll be found on demand on YouTube, along with x.com/Sudbury News and Sudbury.news, which is our news aggregator. Going to dive in with the weather, get the show off on the road, because we are starting a little bit late. We'll have a little bit of weather, and then we'll be back with news headlines or comments and more. Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. Currently it's negative 12 out there. Feels like minus 19. Today, cloudy, 30% chance of flurries this afternoon. Wind will be 20 kilometers per hour. High of minus 9 with the wind chill will be minus 23 this morning, minus 17 in the afternoon. It's always perplexing to me how it says in that currently the wind chill is minus 19, and then you read the synopsis of the day and it will say it's even colder in the morning. However, I'm not questioning anything. This is from Environment Canada. And we could also expect today to be cloudy with a 30% chance of flurries this evening. Periods of snow beginning late this evening, 2 to 4 centimeters. Temperature steady near minus 8. Wind chill minus 17. And then Friday, tomorrow, periods of snow ending in the afternoon, then clearing, amount 2 centimeters. Wind will be gusting up to 50 kilometers per hour in the afternoon. Temperature falling to minus 18 in the afternoon. Wind chill minus 14 in the morning and minus 28 in the afternoon. So, yeah, it's going to be that kind of day. We thought we were over that, but no, it just keeps coming. That cold, bitter weather. And then minus 25 overnight, so another cold night Friday night. Saturday, sunny, high of minus 17. Low of minus 25 with a 40% chance of snow. And that's for Friday. Saturday, sunny and minus 17. I thought I already read Saturday down here. Yeah, if you look at here, it says, overnight. On Saturday, there's a 40% chance of snow because that's what Sunday is calling for with a minus 11 as your high on Sunday. Monday, 40% chance of snow, minus 7. Mix of sun cloud on Tuesday and minus 7 and minus 3 and a 40% chance of snow on Wednesday. That's your forecast from Environment Canada. Brought to you by sudburyweather.ca, but back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Okay, thanks for sticking around, everyone. A bunch of people jumping on. I don't know if I'll be able to say everything that everyone is saying this morning. I do apologize. We do have to get on with the show. And it's my fault. It's not your fault. I take full responsibility for that. So I'm just going to get everybody's comments up on the screen here. I'm going to try to read it a bit just so, people can read the comments. For those that are on the radio who love to hear the comments of people, you just have to check out youtube.com/Sudbury News. Go check it out. And a lot of great comments. And today I'm just apologizing again, and it grieves me that I can't, have more of a conversation because of time. But I just want to say good morning to everyone who's on. We have a good bunch again, as usual. It's starting to get more because of Facebook's page being taken down for our show because someone complained. And the reason is that news can't be shared in any way, shape, or form in Canada on Facebook. So that was the reason they gave us for the page being shut off. But we know it only happens if somebody complains because we weren't deemed as real news. And a lot of people will applaud that. And yeah, that's true. This guy just doesn't sound like CBC. He's not real news. So, and those people will applaud that. But the cancel culture that we have, somebody complained, probably in a high up place, either some level of government or some other news organization would have complained to Meta and had the page looked at and then, said, they talk about news. There's news in their name, so obviously we can shut it down. And that's what ended up happening. And so let's just look at some of the news headlines coming from our news aggregator this morning. Then we'll jump into a couple of the stories. And then I want to do a little bit of a deep dive of Canada as we usually do. It's the country we live in, by the way, and a lot of strange things going on with our country and their relationship with what we deemed the biggest national security threat by our then campaigning soon-to-be Prime Minister, Mark Carney, saying China was the biggest security threat we had. Now they're one of our partners, biggest partners, and we are cutting ties with what was our biggest partner, and that was the United States. We're turning to China, and we have an RCMP Chinese police agreement we want to kind of show you that's taken place. And I don't know if you knew that or not. Like our federal police have partnered with Chinese federal police, and that's scary. And even if you think everything is great, the way this country is going and whatever, that should scare you. That's what's going on right now. We're developing stronger ties with China. We're turning blind eyes to all of the red flags that could possibly go along with that. Backroom deals have been going on for a long time. China's been planning this for many, many years. It was a long game, the long game. Many people were pointing it out. Very few people were listening, and now we're there. And we'll have that evidence from mainstream media, even the most trusted name in news, CTV in Canada. We'll have a clip from there with someone directly from the government telling us this, not just me speculating it. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just something that's happening now in our government with the partnership we have with China. Okay. I don't know why I just don't like the headlines when people win lotteries and they put it on, as a news headline. I think that's just an easy headline. And then poor people that are in the news knowing that all their friends see, oh, they won money. Guess they're going to be getting all kinds of calls now from people asking to borrow money. I just don't like the idea. It shouldn't be publicized. Someone wins in the lottery and it's in the news. I don't know. What do you think? It's a thing. It promotes gambling, for one thing, which can be very addictive, and many people suffer from that. That's one thing. It's a free promotion for the Lottery Corporation, which makes too much money as it is and uses your taxpayers' money, swindles Canadians out of their money, and free promotion, free advertising for them. And then, like I said, the people who actually won, they're unsuspecting. They've never won lots of money before. They don't know what's about to happen. And then they get calls from all kinds of people they knew in high school and stuff, and never talked to them for years. Hey, congratulations, on your win. And then the sob story comes out of how they've been struggling. Legit or not, it's just, these people will get bombarded all the time. So all that to say, there's a lot of stories each and every day about people winning the lottery. I just don't really give it any. I just don't talk about it on the show. Okay, so going through there was a big announcement with a lot of businesses getting free government money too. I don't really agree with that. I don't agree with businesses getting government handouts and then their competition have to do it old school way, bootstrapping their operations and finding their own funding. And some guy just has a friend in government, or they have someone who's really good at writing government grants and they get a grant and then their competition. Like, that's just not good for a free market. And we're not a free market. I know that. But it's just not cool. Government giving businesses money. They say they're investing. Well, they have to invest in some and not in others, right? It's not a fair system. Just not. So I'm not, there was big news in Sudbury the other day with the provincial government investing, quote unquote, in Sudbury businesses. Just not a fan of that as someone who is an entrepreneur and has never taken government grants, for their business. All right. So Sudbury named one of the best places to fish in Canada. Now that's a headline, right? From the Sudbury Star, with more than 300 lakes within the city and its environs. With more than 300 lakes located within the city and its environs, Sudbury stood out for its exceptional concentration of freshwater lakes being recognized for something that's just happened geographically. That's pretty cool. Gova Transit phases out third-party sales in favor of a mobile app. So they're going to be using a mobile app. Look for that. It's going to come out in March. Everything's going digital, right? Poor people who aren't digitalized yet, they're going to have a hard time. Seniors, I'm thinking of. And just going through the stories here, I'm finding them just as you would find them. Bob Johnston confirms mayoral bid. This is Sudbury.com, but refuses to share details. So you can see not a positive article here. We have a mayor with no heart and 12 councillors with no brains, he said. And we have no good leaders in City Hall. Bob Johnson, mayor candidate, a longtime advocate for people who are homeless, said in a recent radio interview. I wonder if they're quoting this show. I don't know. I'll look at that story later. It's probably CBC. But anyways. So there was someone ran into a hydro pole in Hanmer last night, and they had all the trucks on the scene replacing it. There was a bad accident on Highway 69 going towards the valley from Sudbury, right around Tracks and Wheels last night. Backed up traffic for over a half an hour. And there's no news stories on that I can see coming out. But the one that I wanted to cover today was somebody writing into the Sudbury Star on Mark Carney's latest speech at the World Economic Forum? Yeah. Sudbury Observer column takes a sharply critical view of Prime Minister Mark Carney's speech at the World Economic Forum. So this is the Sudbury Star article, but put through ChatGPT to get the essence of the story, just the main points. Arguing that his comments unfairly portrayed American leadership as harmful while downplaying the historical benefits of U.S. economic and military influence. Although Carney did not name the U.S. President Donald Trump, the author interprets the remarks about tariffs and violations of the quote-unquote rule-based international order as an indirect attack on the United States and an unrealistic framing of the global power dynamics. So if you do pay attention to politics and you did hear Mark Carney's speech, it was very scathing against Donald Trump and the U.S., basically saying, nah, we're not going to need you anymore as a globe. We're all going to get together and we're going to gang up on you. Basically, that was what he's saying. I don't need ChatGPT to sum up that. I can do it myself. So this author contends that Mark Carney understands full well that economic coercion, tariffs, and power imbalances have always existed in the international relations. Not just recently or uniquely under U.S. leadership, the column accuses Carney of embracing a globalist worldview associated with the World Economic Forum, which, the writer claims, the one writing into the Sudbury Star, prioritizes collectivism, centralized control, and elite interests over national sovereignty, private ownership, and a strong middle class. That's what globalism does. It kind of gets rid of the middle class, gets rid of sovereignty, and it gets rid of private ownership. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy, which is the slogan of the WEF. You'll own nothing, but you'll still be happy. Like your subscription to your favorite whatever. You don't own it. You just subscribe to it. They own it and they're happy. Ha ha ha. All right. So anyways, Carney's past association with the WEF is cited as evidence of his ideological alignment. The article further challenges, and this is coming from the Sudbury Star, by the way. The article further challenges Carney's claims about values and principled leadership, arguing that Canada and its allies are no more virtuous than other global actors. The author questions Carney's engagement with countries such as China and Qatar, citing human rights concerns and suggesting conflicts of interest due to Carney's connections to Brookfield. And if you haven't heard of Brookfield, then you've been sleeping under a rock or something. Brookfield is the company that Carney was the chair of and had to step down. He's heavily invested in it still. You know, the blind trust, remember hearing about that? Well, he has tons of investments, mainly 95% or so invested where? In the United States of America. So he knows where he makes his money, and it's in the United States. Yet he publicly looks like he's got his elbows up and all this stuff, right? You're duped. You're duped by all this, by the way, by the media that they pay for, which if you've watched yesterday's show or the day before's show, we showed at length how the media is bought and paid for in Canada. In the United States, four or five corporations own all of their media. In Canada, the government owns all the media. It just is the way it is. Whoever pays your checks owns you. Whoever's, paying you owns you. And the government pays our media in billions of dollars of your taxpayers' money goes off to paying off the media so that they will do the government's bidding for them. Right? And so you don't know about Brookfield, you go to moosechart.com, moosechart.com, and it will show you all the connections of Mark Carney and Brookfield and all the investments and everyone who's associated with those things, okay? Carney's approach to Arctic security, asserting that he ignores strategic realities, or does he not? Like if he was in bed with China, which he is, wouldn't he then not want the United States to have anything to do with Greenland? So that way it's an open door for China to come in, partner with Canada, and then China's right on top of their worst enemy. Perfect strategic alignment. If the world's going to gang up on the United States, it's a great idea. Partner with China. Canada now becomes China-da, and they're right above the United States and can just invade, no problem at all. It's a great military strategic, it's a strategy, right? Finally, the author warns that Carney's theoretic risks can damaging Canada's relationship with the United States, its largest trading partner and key security ally. While supporting the idea of diversified trade, the column argues it's reckless for a middle power like Canada to publicly challenge U.S. leadership. The piece concludes that Carney has failed to deliver tangible results on trade, resource development, or economic security, and accuses him of prioritizing ego and ideology over Canada's practical national interests, ending with a call for results rather than rhetoric. And that is true. If you look at anything in our economy, it's terrible. And you read his book called Values, you see exactly where his values are. They're not with Canada, that's for sure. And speaking of just proving that we have this partnership now with China.
Said this isn't real. Listen to what the Canadian Trade Minister says right here.
My question with respect was about the guardrails that your government is planning to put in place. I know our audience and you will be familiar with the fact that in April, the Prime Minister, in response to a question in the election debate about what is the greatest security threat facing Canada, his answer was China. So the question around guardrails pertains to that. Like, what guardrails is your government going to put in place to help navigate this relationship so that we do not suffer as a result of more trade with China?
So part of the agreements that we signed on the ground in China was law enforcement collaboration, cooperation with each other to keep our communities safe. And so I think that's very important for those watching so they understand public safety and law enforcement is very, very important. We want to make sure that our citizens' safety is never compromised. And so, going in with eyes wide open, as you said, is very important to our government. But, as the Prime Minister said in Davos, we need to see the world for what it is, not what we wish it to be. And so we need to approach it very pragmatically and constructively, and that's exactly what our government is doing.
Do you feel safer knowing that the Canadian police will now be working much more closely with the Chinese police? I certainly don't. For everyone who reached out to me after my last video saying that my comments weren't true about Mark Carney signing an MOU regarding the RCMP partnering with the Chinese police, there's your proof. That's directly from our Minister of International Trade. Share this to increase awareness.
Right? Doesn't that make you feel safer? The guardrails they put up is that we have a partnership signed with the RCMP and Chinese police. That should make you feel a lot safer. But we need to see the world as it is, right? As it's going. So this is the new world order. It doesn't include the United States in its current form, and it needs to take it down because everything it stands for is everything opposite of what the new world order is. And that's one world government, total control, communistic style, everything. And they can't have this idea of a constitution with people with rights and things like that given to them by a god, where everyone's equal. They can't have stuff like that being thrown around. So it is what it is, kind of world we live in. China and Canada are in a new partnership. We are joining a world group of people. Mark Carney wants to be kind of a leader of that. Like he's going around, he's the salesperson of it. He's doing all kinds of things behind the scenes. He is a globalist banker, regardless of what the media says about him. Go visit moosechart.com, moosechart.com. It's a chart that shows the entire dealings of Mark Carney and the globalist connections, his investments, where they are. Look, if you just want to be blinded by mainstream media, you just keep getting spoon-fed. But if you really want to know what's going on, all you got to do is go to moosechart.com and you'll see it all for yourself if you actually care. It's all the time we got for the show today. We'll be back same time, same place on the same platforms, God willing, tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. And remember to stay aware. Like, share, take care. Ciao for now.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.